You were born on a battlefield. Now, see where this long war began and where it ends. Israel. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert and special guest Carl Teichrieb in the Holy Land this October, where you'll see things like this.
That Elijah warned the king, you'd better leave now.
Right, because your chariots are going to bog down, just as happened in the days of Barak and Deborah with the Canaanite king Javin and his general Sisera.
The general Sisera, and this takes us to our next destination.
Right, a site that is not on the tours. We could tell because the sign was not in good condition. In fact, this may have been the only sign we saw in all of Israel that's not in Hebrew, Arabic, and English.
It is only in Hebrew.
Yeah, we had to go through a fence. It was kind of broken down. It's kind of an overgrown area. This was found by the late archaeologist Adam Zertal, who just passed away a few years ago. Aaron Lipkin is really promoting his work because it's groundbreaking. The site is called Tel Al-Awat. Back in the day, it was called Harosheth Hagoyim, which means smith or forge of the Gentiles.
Yes, exactly.
And this was, according to Zertal, the probable location of Sisera's fortress, his headquarters, if you will. Its architecture is unique in all of Israel, but it's very similar to the architecture of the Nuragic civilization that we saw on Sardinia last year.
Exactly. When we saw it, when Derek and I saw it, we looked at Yishai, our guide, and we said, we've seen this before.
Now, what Adam Zertal found, Professor Zertal found, all right, in addition to the unique architecture of this site, was the remains of a furnace for smelting iron. The reference in the Bible to the 900 chariots of iron. Remember, if there's a detail in the Bible, it's important. God doesn't put stuff in there for filler. He didn't give Moses and Joshua and Isaiah and Ezekiel a word count that they had to meet, unlike Tom Horn when he assigns us a book. This...
We'll edit that out, don't worry.
No, we'll see if he actually watches.
As you and I were talking about how Shardana sounds very similar to Sardinia and that the architecture appears to be the same, you and I concluded that we had to go back to Sardinia to compare it again to Tel Al-Awat because this area may well be the same people.
Exactly. The cross-pollination between the lands in the Western Mediterranean and the Holy Land probably began much earlier than the consensus of archaeologists.
When we finished our tour of Tel Al-Awat, we had to take a group photo, sort of a class picture, because beneath the sign, because it was a bit challenging. So I want to commend everyone who went with us because not one person complained, ever. Yeah. And we went some tough places.
We did. It was unseasonably hot in Israel this May.
About 110 degrees.
These sites that we saw were a bit physical, more physical than a lot of tours through Israel, but I think it was similarly more rewarding than many of the tours that go to Israel. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert and special guest, researcher, author, and lecturer Carl Teichrieb in Israel, October 19th through 30th, 2025. This is not the typical tour of Israel. For information and to reserve your place on the 2025 Gilbert House Tour of Israel, please log on to gilberthouse.org/travel. That's gilberthouse.org/travel.